Look at that. They fixed the sign. We're going to talk about that and the Astro Orbiter. The beanstalk is done in ToonTown, I think. And there's something new at Goofy's Playard, plus updates on Tianas, Mark Twain, the Columbia, and more. But first, let's talk about that Astro Orbiter situation. Take a walk up, and the intent here was to go look at the sign, but right away you can also see that the Astro Orbiter is behind construction walls. Those walls were put up the day after. The day after, or I think the day of, we put that video out last week of this sign. And yeah, lo and behold, look at that. Now, I don't know if I can take credit for this or not, because I don't believe that I was the first person to say anything about this. And, well, I don't want to assume that anyway. And not to mention, regardless, the whole point was for them to take the sign down, actually. I don't want the sign back up. I don't want a new sign. I don't want a refurb sign. I wanted the sign down because they're going to do this thing. They're not going to build that. It's not going to happen. It's been 4 years, and I don't see anything on the horizon that says they're going to do this. So why are you trying to fool us? Why are you trying to trick us? I mean, I would love it if they did. I love the color thing, the little swirly blue and orange thing they got out there front, and with those same appendages to whatever that platform thing is, just like the thing that they've got in downtown Disney now. Looks just, I mean, I would love it if they could do that, but they're not going to, so just give it up. Let's get rid of this thing. I get why the walls are there. I understand the walls are there. They can't take the walls down. That's why the walls are still up. I totally get that. Leave the walls up if you have to. It's the sign. It's the sign that's the problem. But I guess at least it's not whatever it was last week. So here's the construction walls up around Astro Orbiter. I'm not sure what they're doing. I don't know what the refurb is for. I haven't heard any kind of rumors or speculation on that. The last time this happened, they took the whole thing apart. And every little piece was taken down, and then they put it back together again. They're saying that it's going to be back in winter. And just saying that, okay, so that could mean a lot of things. Winter is a 3-month stretch, obviously. December, January and February, right? It reminds me of the Finding Nemo summers. You guys remember that back, I want to say 2 summers ago, 2021, they closed Nemo because they're going to do a refurb. And they put up those signs that says, resurfacing winter of 2021. That didn't happen, so they put a new sign up, and then that didn't happen. Then it was just resurfacing in 2022, if memory serves. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen here, but I'm getting that kind of vibe from this sign, where the sign says, departing flights will resume in winter of 2024. Okay, so that means it's not going to be in December. Okay, if it's 24, so they're heading that off. They're going to go ahead and tell us it's not going to be there, and so we're looking at January or February of 2024. Crossing our fingers. Until then, we're going to have to negotiate these walls every time we enter and leave Tomorrowland from the hub. That's like, you haven't been to Disneyland if you haven't done at least a little bit of this. And they've even put up some signs on the walls here to kind of reminisce about Astro Orbiters of the past, or in other parks. That was a Disneyland Paris Orbiter. Here's one from 1956 to 67 on the ground in Tomorrowland with the Matterhorn in the background. Here's one with the Skyway buckets floating overhead. And then from 67 to 98, that was when it was on top of the People Mover station. We all missed that. Completely unrelated. This is just a refurb. I mean, it sucks that they're doing it already, considering they just did it like a year or two ago. But I don't know what the cause of that is, but I would expect things to be just as they were, status quo, in winter of 2024. ToonTown is next. The scrim and scaffold are down in that area behind El Capitan Theater. We all believed or understood that they were going to be building the beanstalk, which appears in the concept art. So I'm assuming with the scrim and scaffolding down, that means it's done, right? But is it? Or is that it? It's not a proper beanstalk. It's not a practical beanstalk. They just painted a little thing on the backdrop. So there is no... I'm trying to find it again. Yeah, I mean, no matter from what angle that I look at it, it was just that painted. That's it. That's all they've done. I don't want to come like we're entitled to a proper beanstalk, but that's just kind of a letdown. You know what I mean? It's just kind of, I thought that was going to be a really cool idea. I was really impressed. I was like, way to go, Disney. You really did a thing. You thought of it. It looks cool. It's kind of interesting. It's an extension of what you see inside the queue, inside the Runaway Railway queue. You follow through, and it's going to be great. It's a cool gag. That's not a cool gag. That's just, you can't even, nobody is going to put that together. Nobody walking into ToonTown is going to be going about and having gone inside Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, and they're aware of the stock and they can see it going through the roof, and then they're walking around. They're like, "Hey, do you see that super vague thing all the way back in the distance? It's about this big." I would rather them just not done it at this point. But why even bother? Like, we were fine. It was fine without it. We were good. What's not a letdown is that the birdhouse is back. I don't know why I have been obsessed with the status of this birdhouse. You recall that the birdhouse was there at Goofy's play yard in the beginning. It didn't look like this. It didn't have the tree thing coming out of it, which we'll get into it again in a minute. It was just a regular birdhouse, and it just kind of sat there. I was told that there were supposed to be some interactive elements, but they didn't appear in the birdhouse. It was just a static birdhouse. When we saw that they have updated the birdhouse, an array of them, really, with the big tree coming out of it. Like, that looks great. I really like that. You got the updated rocks down below, the blue rocks. And here's the real trick, is that there are interactive elements. It took me a minute to figure it out, that there's stuff inside those windows. If you get each house, there's 4 of them, has a little element that you can interact with and windows that you can look into. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that's a bird inside the birdhouse building a birdhouse. A meta. Here's another one. There's 4 birdhouses total. It's hard to see. You have to get really up there. And I'm trying my best, but the glare and all that. There we go. That looks like a frog of some kind having a Mai Tai or something. This one's got like a nutcracker situation, a bird. It doesn't do anything, though. It moves, but it doesn't make any kind of sound. And inside, there's a bird having some donuts in his kitchen. I don't know why I love that. You know why I love that? Because Walt would have loved that. If you know the history of Disneyland at all, you know that there's a lot of people where this is how Disneyland began. It began at the carousel at Griffith Park, or it began with this, the electric lights park that he never went to but was aware of back in the day when he was a kid. Or one of the things that I am fond of saying is that one of the genesises of the beginnings was his infatuation with small-scale dioramas. He had his whole idea. He would love these little dioramas, these little miniatures, life in miniature, and he wanted to put them on a train tour, send a train around the country, and everybody would look at the dioramas. It was too expensive. But that was, it's kind of like the train set idea. He wanted to make a living train set. And that's what Disneyland is. Think about it. Disneyland is a living train set. The big ones, the model train, and you put the track around the whole thing, and then you got the little cities and towns and things like that you can build. That's what Disneyland is. That was the I don't know, beta mode of Disneyland. There was an alpha. The dioramas, the little miniature dioramas, were the alpha. Okay? The train set is the beta. You get the idea. Walt would have loved this. That's why I get a kick out of this. Get anything to work, or do. But that's okay, because for me, it's more about the little miniatures anyway. I couldn't quite make out what we're looking at, though, inside there. It looks like there's books, and I don't know what. Oh, there's a level 2, and that's some kind of purple bird in there, and like a wardrobe or something. But yeah, there you go. So we've got 4 birdhouses, and they're really cool to look inside. I would say take your kids in there, let them look through the windows, and maybe someday those interactive features will work. I don't know, but it looks great. It looks pretty, colorful, detailed. It's the kind of thing that Walt Disney would have loved. He would not have loved these walls and scrim that are still up at Donald's Duck Pond. There's nothing more I can say about this other than this report each week now at this point, because I went off last week. It's been 8 months. There's still walls. We'll go next to New Orleans Square and look at that. That's the sailing ship Columbia. One of the 2 remaining attractions on the rivers of America, that and the canoes. the Mark Twain is still being refurbed. But the Columbia is also going down for refurb in January. We don't know yet for how long, but stay tuned. We'll have updates on that when we can. But yeah, the Columbia is going to be going down for a little bit, while the Mark Twain is also going to be closed. There will be a point in time in January where both attractions will be closed. And note at this point that we are, even though we've been saying that it seems like the Mark Twain is ahead of schedule, the calendar still does not reflect it as being open in the month of January, at least as far as we can see. So we've got all of December and then some of January left to go at least for the Mark Twain to continue its refurb, which, you know, it's great because they're going to make it look better. Here's an update from the side over here at the Pelican Landing. Lots of stuff covered up in plastic wrap. You can see they've got those windows taped up. So that means they're getting ready to do some heavy-duty work there, I would imagine. Well, I should say the kind of stuff where they don't want to damage that exterior with paint or something like that, or sand, or, you know, they're going to buff stuff out. So all that is covered up in the various kinds of plastic covering and painter's tape, etc. 12:30 in the afternoon as I shoot this on a Friday, so I wanted to do a drive-by at Tiana's Palace. This is something that, again, I've been kind of obsessed with ever since Tiana's reopened. I just want to know, what is the status of Tiana's Palace? The status right now is, it's about like it was. This is French Market level crowds right now, 12:30 in the afternoon, and the queue is sticking out at Tiana's Palace. So we've achieved normalcy. That's what I'm going to report on. And I just wanted to update things real quick. We didn't get a chance to show it working properly, so that's why we're here today. There is a standard solid green light. That means traffic is okay to go. All aboard. Your attention, please. And look at that. There's the red light. Boom! It's working. That makes me happy. Here's a shot from the top of the, I almost said Tarzan, the top from the Adventureland Treehouse that Liz got while she was there the other night of Tiana's Bayou Adventure. There's a big hole. There's a giant hole in that rock face right now. But there's a lot of, you know, it looks like they've extended the amount of the surface that is being, you know, it's got the new stucco or whatever on there. While we check out the mountain from here, let me ask you guys, are you interested in me reporting on the updates that are happening now at Walt Disney World, at Magic Kingdom? Do you want to see spoilers for how the mountain's going to wind up looking? Because I expect that they're going to be very similar, the mountains. Not exactly the same, but very, very similar. So what we see today at the Magic Kingdom will very likely be the case here at Disneyland. I've been hesitant to do that so far just because, I don't know, I feel like not everybody wants to know how it's going to look. But then if you're watching these construction videos, you probably already are the kind of person that likes to look behind the curtain. But give me a comment. Let me know in the comments below or at me on Twitter or something like that. I'll put something up on Twitter as well, yeah. I can include, maybe not every week, but we can include what's happening at Magic Kingdom. And then we'll have something like a target to look at, like to, you know, something to look forward to on these updates. Let me know. Looking from the Hungry Bear. Nothing observable this week that I can see. Now this, by the way, this is an area that's not going to look like how it looks at Magic Kingdom. Our setup is quite a bit different in the turnaround areas in these parts of the mountain. It's just basically going to be the top of the mountain that's going to look similar to our mountain. The mountain itself, the mountain proper. Hey, there's a train. I love the train. Okay, nothing happening here at the front. Same old white X's. We're still looking for whatever it is that they're doing there. For example, I could tell you guys, I could show you right now what the front of that building might look like. If you're interested. I won't do it this week. I'll wait till next week. They've lifted the tarp a little bit in the rear part of the attraction. Let's get in there super close and see what we can see, which is pretty much nothing. We can see mountainside there, and it looks like some exposed areas that they're resurfacing. I wonder what's going on there. Fascinating. And we can see, you know, up close now why they carved that section out of that log that creates the perimeter there. There's some sort of, you know, electrical or conduit or something inside that they need to connect to while they do whatever work they're doing, and then they'll close it back up again. Those two holes are just like we left them weeks ago. I haven't looked at those two holes in a while, but they are just as we left them. Just missed our monorail, so we're going to post here on the platform and wait for the next train and enjoy the view You know, it's a slow, it's a slow news week. It's a slow construction week, so I've got to fill the time with a little commentary, I guess. So I'm gonna share this time with you guys right here. It's literally my favorite part of every recon session that I do here at the park. It's usually near the end of my day that I do the monorail ride to downtown Disney. It's like my favorite part of Disneyland right here. Oh, I just heard. Here comes the monorail. She's a beaut. And that'll be our boat here in just a few minutes. Back there, I think I even see some foundation, or the beginnings of a foundation being set there. And as we keep rolling by, the same can be said on the opposite side. And I don't know what I was doing with my camera here. I can't see. I can't see what's going on. Maybe if I'm lucky, I will have, because I think I had the Pocket 3 rolling at the same time. Maybe that's what it was. I had Pocket 3 and the phone at the time. I'll try and see if the other video looks any better. Stop in the downtown Disney grassy area to check in on Din Tai Fung and that dining location and retail building. There's a guy in a cherry picker doing, they're getting busy here. We've accelerated a little bit. We still can't see much on the Best Buy type structure there, but they're obviously getting ready to. And that's Din Tai Fung, and there is a myriad of things hanging. They're building, and there's a bunch of those things. I don't know what those are. I thought maybe it might be electrical, but I can't say for sure. They're I've never seen anything like that, but I've never really looked at it closely, so I'm sure there's some construction gurus out there who can check me on that. But those things are everywhere. Okay, that's downtown Disney. Let's go to DCA to check in on Ariel's Undersea Adventure, where I've been going off the rails a little bit for the past couple of weeks. I am really enraged or upset about what they've done to the entrance to this attraction. If you're not aware by now, they have installed Genie Plus, and that has forced them to move the entrance. They have moved the entrance for both Standby and Lightning Lane way over to the other side of the building. You have to walk the length of the building to enter the attraction, enter the queue over there by the cast member entrance, which is just criminal. That's a crime, in my opinion. It's the most baffling thing that I could conceive of. I don't like it one bit. But having said that, let's wind this back a little bit. Something that I had considered when I was walking by on this afternoon, one of the reasons, perhaps, or the reason, perhaps, why they can't, because initially they started putting Lightning Lane and Standby guests in the entrance, and then the Lightning Lane guests were out, overflowing out into the walkway. One of the reasons why maybe they can't curl that queue around is because of the Festival of Holiday kiosks. Because Standby is not a problem. There's plenty of space for Standby. They're never going to overflow this queue for Standby, or very rarely would they ever. It's the Lightning Lane queue that is causing the disturbance. It's causing the traffic problems. Go figure. Just the fact that we have a problem with Lightning Lane at Ariel's Undersea Adventure is also criminal. So I guess the good news is we need only wait 2 months until the holiday season, one other month until the holiday season is over, and then maybe we might be able to have a proper entrance to Standby again and for Lightning Lane. But then they're going to have to redo it again for Food and Wine Festival and again for Lunar New Year. What is that? That's like a good 4 or 5 months out of the year that there's some kind of festival happening that's going to cause problems for the Little Mermaid queue. So Disney, I really feel like they need to solve this. I really feel like this is just a travesty that we're in this position where we have this operational issue. And I'm not even going to get into what it's doing to Standby. I'll save that for another video. But just operationally, because that's what these videos are for, these construction videos, operationally, they've got to figure this out because it's not good. So if we go to the entrance, there's plenty of room in the door, at the entrance to the building, and that's really where the mix point should be. Lightning Lane should be mixing right there at the door. So, and there's room to bisect that space. Left side goes Standby, right side goes Lightning Lane. but then that's going to back up. How far back, I guess, depends on the day. But, I mean, I can't imagine it would ever be more than 15 or 20 guests, right? Or maybe not. I don't know. Maybe they had a problem before, so I guess they could have it again. But I think that they were trying to mix guests way back at the very entrance, you know, where before they get into the, what do we call that, the trellis or something? They're trying to mix guests there. Maybe? I don't know. God, it's so impossible. This building is not built for Lightning Lane. That's the problem. It's just not built for Lightning Lane. Some structures, some attractions just shouldn't have it. Peter Pan is another one. You could never put Lightning Lane on Peter Pan because there's no place to put it. In the same way, some restaurants aren't built for mobile order. You can't do mobile order at Rancho. It just doesn't work. You can't do mobile order at Plaza Inn. They're just not built for it. They need to, and that's the thing, is they're trying to put a square peg, in this stupid square peg, into this Little Mermaid round hole that absolutely does not need any kind of pegs. It just needs to be what it is. And they're going through all these gymnastics and gyrations and mechanics to make this work, when it absolutely positively is the most unnecessary decision that anybody could conceive of. And I'm ranting again. I apologize. I really feel like they need to find a way to get guests into that structure the where you should. If you want to keep Lightning Lane, fine, whatever. But you gotta make it more graceful, man. You just gotta make it more graceful. And like I said, the problem isn't standby. There's plenty of room in there for standby guests. They're not going to cloud up the queue. The problem was created, once more, again, by Lightning Lane. Every problem that exists operationally at the park is a result of a byproduct of either Genie Plus or the reservation system. I'm glad I put this at the end, or near the end. I'm sorry, guys. Let's go back to Disneyland, Indiana Jones. Well, actually, not quite Indiana Jones. We're going to actually go through the exit of Indy to check in on the Jungle Cruise on the Tiger, and to see if it's still there, the archaeological dig site, which it is. The dig site, I expect it to be this way for a little while. They wouldn't have gone through all this length to put up this fancy cover for a construction project if that wasn't going to take a while. We'll check in from time to time. But for now, there you go. Archaeological dig site is still in play. Right next door, Adventureland Treehouse. I'm clapping now. Yay! Clapping for the Adventureland Treehouse. That is a functioning water wheel, ladies and gentlemen. It looks like it's functioning quite well. Look at how beautiful that water is down there as well. Not only do we have a functioning water wheel, we also have functioning buckets. This makes me very, very happy. If only because it's sort of a vindication. People were like, oh my God, they're shaking their fists. Disney, how could you screw this up so quickly? The thing just opened. And I was thinking, you know, just give it a minute. These things don't open 100%, hardly ever. So I figured they would fix it, and they did. They need to make this work. It's the centerpiece of the attraction. They're going to make it work. They're going to do what they have to make it work, I think. So I'm very glad to see that this thing operating the way it should. The water wheel working and buckets going up and down, delivering water throughout, theoretically, the treehouse. We'll stop next on Main Street at the Gibson Girl, where WDW News Today, or Disneyland News Today, posted this image of tables. Table service tables, dining tables, in the Gibson Girl restaurant. These are Carnation Cafe tables. They created some extended dining service out here, I guess, well, for what reason, I can't say. When I arrived on this Friday, Gibson Girl looked just as it should be. There were tables, but those back there in the corner, but those were always there. That's the normal use tables at the Gibson Girl. Now, I don't know why they did this, but in order to do this, you do have to close the Gibson Girl, which is interesting. You can see in that image, there's a rope up where guests normally would be accessing the queue. The logic that was used, or the explanation that was given in that article from Disneyland News Today was that, you know, it's cold, it's the winter season, people aren't buying as much ice cream, which, I mean, is logical, but they still do enough business there to warrant. I mean, they sell ice cream all over the park. I bought ice cream last Christmas, so it is still a thing. So why they did that, I'm not sure why they felt that necessary, but on this visit, everything was as it should be, as intended. We'll check in from time to time to see if they do that again, but I don't expect this to be a permanent thing. I think this might have just been a one-off, a one-time situation. We'll go back to DCA, where we're just checking in a few things, some odds and ends. Stage 17 is still there. Waiting for some cryptic messages on the Hyperion Theater. Right now it says, Happy holidays on that marquee. I'm hoping for something that says Rogers the Musical is coming back 3 nights a week. But no, it's still, its current state is vacant. So we're just going to keep checking in to see if we learn anything here. I can tell you that those things are still here. Those were gone, and then they reinstalled them when they brought back Rogers. They haven't taken them down, so that's a good sign. And then finally, Incredicoaster is back up. That was down for a short refurb, but it is back up. It's closed in this image, as I shoot this, because there was a breakdown. But the attraction is back open again, Incredicoaster is. So there you go. That's it. And I think that's our update, you guys. I think that's everything this week. I do hope you enjoyed. If this is your first construction report, or you've only seen a couple of these, and this is your kind of thing, if you like looking behind the curtain a little bit, that's great. We do these every week on Monday. So make sure you subscribe to our channel and hit the notification button. And then also follow us on Instagram at _FreshBaked, on Twitter at FreshBakedDisney, that's fresh with no E, and on TikTok at FreshBakedDisney. If you like our show and want to show your support, please do consider joining our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/freshbaked. Otherwise, thanks again for watching, everybody. We love you. Be safe out there. Be kind to one another. Fresh Baked.